Hello my quilty friends, welcome to my country farmhouse sewing room. I'm Marnay and today I have another beautiful freestyle quilt to show you. This is my second graduation quilt here in July. Well, I finished it in July. We're now into August, can you believe it? So this is my nephew Cole's graduation quilt, and Cole, if you're watching, this is your quilt. So I want to tell you all a little bit about this quilt because this quilt was very much a freestyle. There is no pattern. This is just absolute creativity. And I love this quilt, and I am calling it Auntie's Attic because this quilt was built with everything that I had here in my sewing room. I did not buy anything special for it. It's just out of my scraps and things that I put together, but it turned out amazing and I'm really happy with it. And I really want to show you how I did this. So I'm going to start up here at the top and kind of move you up. This is a very large quilt. This quilt is for my nephew, who is very, very tall. And I wanted it to be big enough to make sure when he covered up with it, it would cover his feet and they wouldn't stick out and it'd be wide enough to put a crossing. So my quilt is 57 inches wide by 78 inches long. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. The border here, it's bordered all in this beautiful green fabric, which is a fabric that was left over for the backing of one of my quilts. I love this green because it is very nature colored, and this quilt is very much a nature inspired quilt, as Cole loves to hunt and fish, and it's just what he's born into him. So this was made especially for Cole. So my inner border, I had some leftover black, which frames all of my beautiful stuff that I have put here in the middle. I have this strip here at the top. This was just a leftover strip, but I liked it because it had these deer and oak leaves in the lodge. So I just cut that piece for the header. And then I liked this little bluish green color in this because it brings the bottom to the top, which I will get to. So I have these little squares, and these are just little patchworks that I put together out of scraps that I had in my scrap bin. And the little 4 patches were leaders and enders that I cut into 1.5 inch strips. Actually, they were already in 1.5 inch strips. I sewed them together and then I recut them and made these little 4 patches. And then I turned this into a 4 patch block. So the 4 patch block has 2 4 patches and then 2 salads. And the salads ended up being, I think they were 2.5 when they were before I finished them into this size block. So this was just really some scrappiness. I didn't plan. I mean, I just winged it like I normally do. And it didn't quite finish all the way to the edge of the top of this, so I added a little piece of black strip here on the end just to kind of finish this off. This is really much a filler block. These little 4 patches, as you can see, I did a row up here and a row here. This row here in the middle were square and squares. I had a video uploaded. It's called Square and a Square Block. I demonstrated that, so if you want to look back through my videos, you can find that. So what I did with these square and a square blocks is I just took one square and then I laid another square on top of it, drew an X on the top square on the opposite side, and then I snipped a little hole in the middle, and then I sewed it all the way around, and then I cut it on the X that I put on the back side of the one color. And then when I opened, after I cut it on the X and it didn't cut my seams and I opened it up, then you get these fantastic little corners. So I made these nice little square and squares all across here. And then these little things in the middle here are appliques. And this is a crazy story about these little appliques because I had a little piece of fabric that was given to me and it had all of these little nature things on it. So this one over here is a little log and it says, "Log on to nature." I have a fox. It says, "Live large at the lake." And owl, it says, "Owl always love the woods." This is so cool. And I even attached this little acorn on here. And then you have a tree, and it says, "1, 2, tree, there's nowhere I'd rather be." I have a moose. It says, "Moosey through the woods." I have a coyote, "Living on lodge time." And this one here, "Belief in nature." Is this not awesome? I just love the way this turned out. So what I did with these is I heat and bonded them onto some heat and bonds, and then I adhered them, and then I cut them out, and then I sewed them all down in the middle of my square and square blocks, and then of course I sewed them all together to make this row. And then of course I have my other filler row, you know, So this top, it really makes it nice and interesting. There's a lot of piecing in this work, and I'm just really so happy with it. So I'm going to get to the middle of the quilt, and you'll see here that I have this beautiful woodsy panel. And it has a moose, and it has a fox down here. There is a bear and 2 cubs. There is a deer and a fawn. There are actually a couple of rabbits, a raccoon. There is squirrels in the tree. There's 2 squirrels here, and then there's the buck, and there's even a chipmunk on the log. I just love this panel. So this panel was actually given to me by my mother-in-law, and when she gave it to me, I said, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this. I am going to put this in this quilt. So, and also I had framed this panel. I had cut it down to fit my top part here, and I framed it down with some of this little stripe fabric around to frame it in. But if you can see closely on this striped fabric, there are little deer hoof prints in the stripes. So it just really all goes together. I just absolutely love it. So, and down here on the bottom, I have these, you can see my strips. Well, I had to join a couple of them together. I didn't really like the join showing, and I have one on each side. So I have one over here too, there was a join. So I had some leaf fabric, and I cut out a couple leaves, I heat and bond them, and then I adhered them to the quilt and stitched them down so that it looks like leaves falling down onto the quilt. So now I'm going to get to the bottom, because the this quilt, I like to think of it as a land and water quilt, because Cole loves the hunting and fishing, so I had to incorporate the fishing, and the fishing part on the bottom is really cool. So it kind of looks like the land on top and the water on the bottom. So I'm going to get in here. I have some little lure fabric that I had put on either side, and then I had made a star. And this was just a scrappy star, and I did some wonky points that are taller points and shorter points. And then in the middle square, I have some little fishing reels, the bobbers, and then like the fly fishing rods, and then the fish that kind of went in here in the star. And it's a very, I'm getting ahead of myself. So here I have these red and white things here that you see. These are bobbers. And I found this block to piece together in a book, which I could probably show that to you. It had all kinds of woodsy stuff in here, and I thought it was very fitting to put a row on each side of the bobbers. And then the very bottom here are fish swimming in water. So this is a really, really cool quilt. You know, and you can see that I've got all my framework that goes all the way to the bottom. It's a very tall quilt. So at the end of the video, I will throw some pictures in the end so you can really see the details and the funness of this quilt. So when I quilted it, I decided to quilt it in this oak leaves and acorns quilting. I can get pictures and so you can see the details of that too. This quilt is just absolutely amazing. I'm just really, really proud of it. So the backing, I had some fabric. I had found this fabric in the Outer Banks years ago when I took a trip down there with my mom and my sister, and we went to a thrift store and we found lots of fabrics, and this was one of them. And it's kind of that, oh, I forget what they call this. It's not homespun, but it's all that's, I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, I love the brown and I love the black stars on the back, and it makes me think of Cole. You could sleep under the stars and dream about nature, because this is just an amazing quilt, and this is probably one of my favorites. And I had enough of the green left over, so I did the binding in the green as well, because I love green, and I think green is just so naturey and it's just so woodsy, and I just really love it. So I have another thing that I was going to put into this quilt, but I really love it, but the block that I made was quite large, and I didn't feel like it fit my design in my head. So what I made was this bonus pillow for Cole, and I had this big piece of fabric that had this buck in it, and it was really pretty, and I just thought it needs to be into a star. So I incorporated some yellow points, which kind of match that gold sunlight that's coming in behind the deer, and I incorporated some camo because Cole just loves to hunt. And I remember when he was little, his mom had gotten him some hunting clothes. This was years ago, and she bought him these little camo outfits. And this, I had a little piece of this camel, and it just reminded me of that time that I was with his mom and we were out shopping and she was buying him a little camel outfit because he loved to play hunting, you know. So this really goes way back. So the background of my pillow has all these cute little arrows in the back too, because Cole likes to bow hunt. So I thought this was a really cool way to incorporate that in the pillow. And on the back I had some leftover duck fabric, and I love this green and cream and black and orangey kind of stripe in it. It just really makes a nice bonus to go with the quilt. So it really turned out great. So the only thing left that I have to do to this quilt is put my label on the back, which I should have put it on before I quilted it, but I'm trying to get this done for his graduation, which is in here in a couple days of filming this video. So I have got to adhere this to the back, and I will probably just hand whip stitch it around in the bottom corner somewhere, but it says for Cole on his graduation of 2023 and love his auntie. So this is really exciting. I can't wait till he gets it. I hope that he loves it because I really love it, and I hope that he really enjoys it. So I hope that you all enjoyed this little skit of Cole's graduation quilt, and maybe try some freestyling on your own, you know, and see what you come up with. You can't really go wrong, you know. I tell people I just sit down and start sewing. So this is just creativity. Use what you have, and you know, see what you come up with. So if you like this video, or you know, or you leave me a comment, tell me your thoughts. I love to read your comments, and please check out my video of my giveaway quilt. It's coming up right soon here within 10 days, I think, maybe less than 10 days. So be sure to, you know, check out that video and leave a comment so you can get your name into the drawing, so maybe you could be the lucky winner of a free little quilt. So let me know your thoughts, and I will chat at you later. Please like and subscribe. Bye.